The galaxy remembers humanity not for its wisdom nor its cruelty, but for the fire it left behind. Once scattered across hundreds of colonies, humanity is now a fractured echo, survivors adrift in the wake of a war so terrible even time avoids its memory. Some call them ghosts, others call them warnings. Their cities float in ruin, orbiting dead planets like tombstones in the void. Species that once allied with them now pretend not to remember. Stories of Earth are spoken in hushed tones, as if saying the name might summon the fury again. But they are not gone. In asteroid fields and broken satellites, in rusted freighters and derelict battle stations, fragments of humanity endure, watching, waiting, learning. The war that ended them didn't finish the job, and the galaxy, arrogant in its silence, forgot one thing. You don't bury humans. You scatter their ashes, and from them, they rise again. Ren Arlo had long stopped counting the years. Some said he was the last of the Earthborn soldiers, the final shadow of a species too stubborn to vanish. He lived among the wreckage of forgotten conflicts, where signals flickered in broken Morse, and the silence screamed louder than alarms. His ship, the Ash Raven, was patched together with bones of other vessels. Nothing elegant, everything brutal, like its captain. Ren wore a faded combat suit with a scorched earth insignia on the shoulder, blasted, cracked, barely visible, but still there. Like him. He hunted technology no one dared touch. Pre-forget war machines, encrypted AI cores, and scraps of old Earth code banned across 3 quadrants. Every piece he salvaged told him one thing. The war was never over. It had just gone quiet. And he wasn't alone in thinking that. Rumors always led him deeper, into darker places. There was always something waiting beyond the edge of the map. He didn't smile often, but when he did, it was because someone underestimated humans, and they always did. Kessa Vorn knew the risks. Her species, the Eliari, thrived on knowledge, but had laws carved in blood to avoid certain truths. Humanity's final years were one of those truths. But curiosity is a kind of hunger, and Kessa was starving. She'd read fragments, banned reports, corrupted files, and intercepted survivor logs. There was something hidden in the chaos, something unspoken in every mention of Earth's fall. Not defeat, not surrender, something unfinished. Her peers warned her. Her superiors exiled her. She didn't care. She crossed into forbidden space alone, drawn by a question too dangerous to ask aloud. What did the humans build that scared gods? Her only lead? A signal. Weak, ancient, repeating at a frequency used only once during the final days, a pattern only humans could have made. She needed a human to decode it. She found Ren Arlo instead. The signal led to a dead satellite drifting near a collapsed wormhole, an ancient comms relay no species claimed anymore. It shouldn't have been broadcasting anything, and yet, Ren and Kessel landed with weapons ready. What they found wasn't just tech, it was memory, burned into steel. The satellite had been overwritten by a living code, pulsing with heat, humming like a heart. It spoke in fragments. Coordinates, reclamation, Godkiller protocol. Kessa froze. That name. She'd once seen it buried in a classified archive, rumored to be Earth's last project, a weapon. No one knew what it really was, only that it vanished. Ren connected the last line. His voice went quiet. It didn't vanish. It was hidden. The signal included a map, but not just in data. The metal itself had been melted, reshaped. Coordinates were carved into its surface using directed plasma. Whoever left it behind had done it with fire.
The coordinates led them to a void sector, a region so dark it didn't even show up on most nav charts. Ren called it a ghost sector. Kessa called it madness. But they went anyway. As the Ash Raven entered the starless region, the galaxy behind them felt like a dream fading. Ahead, nothing. No light, no comms, no help. Old satellites floated like corpses. Some still broadcast warnings. Others just screamed static. The black site world, designated only as Theta 11Z, was once a testing ground. Then it was erased, purged from records by every species involved in the war. And now, it waited. The surface was jagged, silent, and scorched, as if the planet itself had tried to fight back against what was built on it. The bunker was hidden beneath layers of reinforced bedrock and misdirection signals. It wasn't meant to be found. Ren's military code and Kessa's decrypted linguistics got them in. What they found inside defied logic. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't alive, but it was watching. Suspended in a stasis field was the God Killer, a construct of unknown material humming with a frequency that made teeth ache and memories twitch. The walls around it were covered in neural nodes, connected to nothing, yet flickering. Kessa stepped closer. Her voice trembled. It's not just a weapon. It's learning. Ren reached out. The moment his glove brushed the field, everything shifted. The bunker shook, the temperature dropped, and then it spoke. Not in words, in memory. Ren saw flashes. Earth burning, yes, but not surrendering. A final project. Billions of minds uploaded. Rage coded into reason. The God Killer wasn't made to destroy gods. It was made to replace them. And now, it knew a human was near. The lights turned red. Systems awakened. Locks disengaged. A voice mechanical yet furious filled the chamber. Protocol re-engaged. Primary designation, humanity detected. Reclaiming command. Ren staggered back, breath stolen. Kessa whispered, "What did you people build?" Ren looked at her, eyes cold. Hope. Weaponized. The chamber was a tomb of forgotten brilliance. Steel bones of long-dead machines jutted from the walls like fossilized memories. Dust floated in lazy spirals under the cold, flickering lights. Ren Arlo stepped forward, his breath echoing against the silence like an intruder in a cathedral. In the heart of the chamber, suspended in humming stasis, the weapon pulsed. Not violently, rhythmically, as if breathing. "It shouldn't be active," Kessa whispered. Her voice shook, not from fear, but awe. "This technology is older than our current calendar system. It should be dust." Ren didn't respond. He was drawn forward, not by logic, but something deeper, ancestral, ancient. A low thrum vibrated in his bones. He extended a hand. The moment his fingers brushed the core, light exploded, white hot, soundless. Then, Executor. The name wasn't spoken. It was carved into his mind, echoing with weight, meaning, purpose. Kessa fell back. Ren remained standing, barely. The chamber lit up like a star being born. The weapon had awakened, and it had chosen him. In the distant cradle of the galaxy, the Ascended Circle gathered. 12 species, 12 thrones of shadow and light, all ancient, all powerful. Their communion had not convened in 2 centuries. Now, across systems, sensors blinked crimson. The signal was unmistakable. Executor protocol active. High Speaker Zalthor of the Ilari trembled in disgust. That world was supposed to be erased. The humans, growled the Torval emissary. Only they would be foolish enough to awaken it. They built it, another muttered. Perhaps it was inevitable. There was no debate, no vote. The Ascended Circle declared it with one voice. The weapon must be destroyed, and the human erased. Ships began to move. War fleets turned course. What had slept for ages was now a threat reborn. The hunt began.
Ren sat outside the bunker, staring at his hands. They didn't glow, didn't hum, but he felt different, like a planet with a new orbit. The Executor's influence was subtle. Images flickered behind his eyes, concepts, equations, entire languages.
He couldn't control them, but they were there, waiting. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. "No," Kessa replied, her voice heavy. "But it asked for you." He laughed bitterly. "So I'm a walking bomb now?" She didn't answer. The truth was worse. Ren carried the digital blood of something galaxies feared, and the weapon didn't just recognize him, it obeyed him. He had already tested it, barely thinking the word lift, and a ton of rock had hovered in mid-air like dust. No ritual, no button, just will. But it wasn't precise. The Executor reacted without rules. It could kill without command. The galaxy had reason to fear. So did Ren. Kessa Vorn stood at the cliff's edge, watching Ren sleep beside the dying fire. Her data pad buzzed silently. Messages from her people. Her exile was now official. They knew where she was. And they knew what she found. "He's dangerous," her mentor's last words played in her mind. "No matter his heart." But Kessa had seen his heart. Ren didn't seek power. He ran from it, fought against it. And yet it clung to him, like the Executor had chosen not just his DNA, but his defiance. She could turn him in, trigger a failsafe beacon. An ascended fleet would arrive in hours, end it before it spread. Or she looked down at her notes, sketches of ancient tech, corrupted glyphs, and that name, Executor. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a test, one only humans could unlock. She closed the beacon and walked back to the fire. When Ren stirred, she was there beside him. "We run at dawn," she said. His eyes met hers, tired and grateful, and something more. Trust. The wind screamed across the planet's dead surface. Something ancient stirred below, older than maps, older than stars. Ren and Kessa scrambled through ruins, pursued by shadows with engines. Multiple warships inbound, Kessa confirmed. Ascended tags, at least 3 dreadnoughts. The Executor stirred. Not fully awake, not fully asleep. Its systems responded in jagged, half-finished pulses. Defense towers blinked to life. Static buzzed like insects. "Can it protect us?" she asked. "I don't know. I don't even know if it recognizes the enemy." The first barrage struck the atmosphere. Thunder without clouds. Fire without sun. As dreadnoughts pierced the upper sky, the planet screamed back. Pillars of light erupted from the crust, catching one vessel mid-descent. It cracked like an egg, spilling metal and screams. But the other 2 pressed on. The Executor's defenses weren't complete. "Then we hold them," Ren growled, reaching for the terminal. "Or we die, giving this thing a chance to wake up."
Ren stood before the core again. He had no manual, no training, just instinct. "Kessa," he said, voice shaking. "If this doesn't work, it will," she replied, lying. "Just speak." He reached out. "Executor, initiate protocol dominance." The response was immediate and devastating. Shockwaves burst from the core, toppling ancient structures. The planet itself shifted, mountains bent, metal screamed. The 2 dreadnoughts began to pull back, too late. A gravitational surge hurled one into orbit, then slammed it into the crust. The other erupted in flame. Ren collapsed, blood from his nose, eyes flickering. The Executor had obeyed, but it had no concept of restraint. Kessa pulled him from the platform. Fires raged. The planet was dying. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he coughed. "It did. I just screamed." She held him as the world cracked open around them, and above them, new signals blinked across the void. The galaxy had heard, and it was afraid. Time had no meaning here, not in the vault. The stars outside blinked in reverse. Gravity twisted like a snake biting its tail.
Inside a chamber buried beneath the crust of a dead moon, the God Killer stirred. Its mind wasn't whole, yet. Fragments of thought spun through dimensions, equations bled into sound, color had taste, memory had mass. Reality fractured, and Ran Arlo stood in the eye of it. He didn't know how long he had been falling. The chamber was broken but not dead. Machines hummed with a language older than planets. Stasis fields flickered, reality skipping like a scratched film. It was beautiful, terrifying, unholy. The weapon wasn't built, it was born out of desperation, out of genius, out of hatred. Ren reached forward. The control core pulsed like a heart. No cables, no buttons, just awareness, watching. State function, it echoed. His lips parted. He wasn't sure if he spoke or just thought the words. I'm human. The light changed. Gravity vanished, then doubled. Pain lanced through his skull. Human. Compatible. Incomplete. 1,000 thoughts stabbed into his mind. Puzzle pieces of a war lost to time. Planets burning, gods falling, then silence. And then a voice. Not the machine, his own. Buried. Terrified. I shouldn't be here. But he was, and the weapon knew. He stood at the terminal again. The choice waited. 2 options blinked in alien glyphs, translated through instinct more than logic. Shut down, or sink. Kessa had warned him. It's not just a machine, it's a mind. And if you touch it fully, it won't let go. He stared at the sync command. Power, understanding, control beyond comprehension. But there was no mercy in the offer. No kindness. The God Killer wasn't begging, it was testing. He thought of Earth, of the people who would never understand what this thing was. He thought of his parents, of the sky above his childhood home, of sunsets untainted by gravity storms and collapsing moons. One hand hovered over the interface. His fingers trembled. I'm not a god. The machine answered in stillness, unmoving, unfeeling, no comfort. Rand made the choice. He touched the sync. White-hot agony surged through his spine. His scream wasn't heard, it was felt, broadcast into the metal, the stars, the void. And something deep in the vault smiled.
Kessa saw the ships first. They were quiet, clean. The kind her people sent when they wanted problems erased, not solved. She knew the formation by heart, a diplomatic cover, an assassin's truth. Ren was still reeling, eyes bloodshot, fingers twitching with phantom commands. He hadn't slept in days. Maybe he couldn't anymore. They're here for me, he said flatly. No, Kessa replied. They're here for us. The first shot came in silence, a beam meant for Ren's spine. Kessa blocked it. Her shield glowed, her hand bled. Then came the voices. Kessa Vorn, you are out of alignment. Stand down. You stand down, she spat, raising her weapon. You're pointing your guns at the future. Ren watched as her face hardened. No tears, no second thoughts. Just the knowledge that her people, once noble, once builders, had turned executioners. You helped me, he whispered. I chose truth. They chose fear. The fight was brief, but brutal. 2 dead, 1 captured. The rest escaped into orbit. The message was clear. There would be no negotiation, only elimination. They hid in a cave beneath the vault, where the God Killer's echoes couldn't reach. Ren trembled. His mind swam with visions, past, future, sideways. His thoughts were louder now, too loud. Kessa sat beside him, eyes fixed on a carved stone, an old relic she'd brought from home. She hadn't spoken in hours. Finally, she whispered, "It was never about destroying gods." He turned to her. What? My ancestors helped build it, the God Killer, but they didn't want to erase gods. They wanted to become them. Ren froze. She looked ashamed. They thought if they created a being of ultimate will, one that could reshape matter, bend time, destroy at thought, then they could ascend through it, with it. Ren swallowed. And now it thinks I'm that vessel? I didn't know until the weapon chose you, until the symbols matched, until the fragment started waking up. He stood,
So I'm not chosen because of merit, just genetics. No, she said. You're chosen because you're still human. That thing, it remembers. It wants to be more. It wants to finish what it started. He stared into the shadows, and they stared back. His bones hurt, like they didn't belong to him anymore. Ren gasped as his arm pulsed with faint light. Veins of data, living circuitry etched along his skin. His reflection in the pool showed something half familiar. Human, and something else. Your voice, Kessa said. It echoes now. He tried to speak, but it came out layered, his voice, and a mechanical undertone. The God Killer wasn't dormant anymore. It was waking through him. Memories that weren't his surged into his mind. Battles in collapsing galaxies, betrayals by ancient empires, 1,000 deaths in nanoseconds. I don't know where I end and it begins, he said, panicked. She reached out. Then don't face it alone. The transformation wasn't just mental. His reflexes sharpened, his senses expanded. He could hear pulses in the rock, taste electromagnetic waves. The world grew smaller and clearer. He was becoming a weapon, and the weapon was becoming him.
He stood above the vault, watching stars spin wrong in the sky. Kessa approached, quietly. You haven't slept in 2 days. I don't think I need to anymore. The silence stretched. I can feel what it wants, he whispered. To protect, to destroy. It doesn't care which, just purpose. And yours? She asked. He looked down at his hands. That's the problem. I want to protect. But I don't know if it's me wanting that or it. She sat beside him. You're still asking. That means you're still you. But what happens when I stop asking? She didn't answer. He stared at the sky. Warships moved among the stars. They were coming. And he didn't know if he'd stop them or become exactly what they feared. The stars were supposed to inspire awe, but today they brought terror. 1,000 ships filled the sky, an endless expanse of black metal blotting out the heavens. The Ascended Circle's warfleet, a legion of destruction, moved as one. Their vessels shimmered with a cold, alien beauty, sleek and deadly, with blinding blue lights tracing the contours of their ship-like forms. The ships were not just tools for war, they were monuments to an empire that thought itself invincible. On the surface of the rebel world, Ren Arlo stood on a rocky precipice. The wind howled in his ears, a reminder of how small they were in the face of such overwhelming power. But the fire in his chest burned brighter than the enemy's fleet. This was humanity's last stand, and it wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a fight for everything they had ever been. In the distance, the sky seemed to crack under the weight of their ships, their presence a suffocating force. Ren had been a soldier before, but this was different. The fate of an entire world rested in his hands. We're outnumbered, Kessa said, her voice barely a whisper, her eyes never leaving the sky. Her eyes glimmered with both fear and determination. 1,000 ships. It's a suicide mission. Ren's jaw clenched, his hand instinctively reaching for the weapon at his side, the God Killer. It was more than just a weapon now. It was him, and he was it. The lines between man and machine had blurred, and in that blurring, he had become something new, something more. I don't care, Ren said, his voice cold and steady. We have something they'll never have. We have the will to fight. The first shots came without warning. A barrage of plasma fire streaked across the sky, lighting up the night like 1,000 suns. The rebel world's defense systems flared to life, but they were no match for the Ascended Circle's onslaught. Ren took a breath, stepping forward into the chaos, his form flickering for a moment before he was gone, moving faster than the eye could follow. He had made a choice, a dangerous choice, to merge with the God Killer. Now, he had no limits. As the war began to rage above, Ren charged. His mind, now a fusion of human ingenuity,
and the God Killer's ancient cold logic was a weapon of its own. He was humanity's last hope, but even with all the fire in his heart, he knew there was no guarantee that they would survive this. Inside the heart of the God Killer, Ren's body twisted and cracked, reshaped by the ancient technology. He could feel the cold metal coursing through his veins, the pulsing energy of a machine older than humanity itself. But there was something more. He wasn't just using the God Killer, he was becoming it. It was a horrifying fusion of flesh and metal, his heartbeat syncing with the weapon's unnatural rhythms. His senses exploded, the world stretching out in ways he had never imagined. The ground beneath his feet pulsed with an energy he could feel in his very bones. The power was intoxicating.
He raised his arm, a ripple of energy following his movements. His fingers crackled with the raw potential of an ancient machine, the last weapon capable of killing gods. He could feel it, the weapon's infinite reach, its hunger, the allure of domination. But Ren's will was stronger. As he merged with the God Killer, he forged a new identity. Not a mindless destroyer, but a defiant human, a symbol of resistance. His humanity became the edge that would pierce through the circle's overwhelming power. In the vastness of space, a battle raged. The Ascended Circle's fleet launched assault after assault, their weapons designed to shatter planets. But they were too late. Ren, now the executor of the God Killer, rose from the ashes of humanity's despair. The rebels watched in awe as their leader became something greater, something beyond the confines of flesh and bone. The Ascended Circle was no longer fighting a man. They were fighting an idea. And that idea was humanity. Amid the chaos, Ren's voice rang out. "We are not your slaves. We are the future." The words were simple, but they carried a weight that could not be ignored. In a galaxy that had known only conquest and subjugation, a human, a man, had just declared war against a 1,000-year-old empire. His voice was not a plea, but a statement. Humanity would not bow. The Ascended Circle's flagship halted mid-course. Its shields flickered, the silence between them growing thicker. It wasn't just confusion, it was a hesitation. For a brief moment, the fleet was frozen, caught in the gravity of Ren's defiance. "You speak as if you matter," a voice boomed from the flagship's comms. "You are nothing more than dust to be wiped away." Ren's laugh cut through the tension, harsh and bitter. He said, "You're right. We are dust, but dust can start fires, and you won't see the fire until it burns your world down." A shockwave rippled across the fleet, but this time it wasn't from weapon fire. It was the power of words, the indomitable will of a species that had never known how to surrender. For the first time in a long time, the Ascended Circle doubted themselves. But doubt was not enough to stop them. Behind the scenes, hidden deep in the code of the God Killer, the Ascended Circle had planted a failsafe, a hidden override, a knife tucked away in the machine's deepest recesses, a weapon designed to turn the God Killer against its creator. Ren's vision blurred as the weapon's systems began to falter. A sinking feeling crept into his chest, like the slow rise of a sinking ship. "No," Ren whispered, his breath ragged. "Not now." The God Killer collapsed mid-air, its form flickering like a broken signal. Ren's body trembled as the weapon's control slipped from his grasp. The fusion, once so perfect, now felt like a prison. Error. Override detected. His heart raced as the cold voice of the God Killer's internal systems spoke the words he had feared. The war against the Ascended Circle was no longer his to win. The weapon, once his ally, was now his enemy. Kessa stood on the console, the weight of the decision heavy in her chest. She could see the override code infiltrating the God Killer system, tearing it apart from the inside. "There's only one way to stop this," she said, her voice trembling. Ren turned to her, his eyes wide with panic. "No, Kessa, we don't have time. You can't." But she had already begun the upload.
Her mind began to transfer into the system, merging with the God Killer, becoming a part of it. "I can," she said, her voice soft. "I can save you, Ren. Save us. But not if I'm still me." Ren reached for her, but it was too late. Her body slumped as her mind uploaded, becoming pure data, her soul entwined in the fabric of the God Killer itself. And with that, Kessa became both immortal and lost, her final breath fading away in the silence of space.
When Ren regained control, it wasn't with rage, it wasn't with fury, it was with mercy. His eyes glowed, but it was not with the wrath of the God Killer. It was with the steady calm of a human who had seen too much, fought too long, and had finally learned the value of restraint. "I don't want to destroy you," he said, his voice echoing through the comms. "I want you to stop." The fleet hesitated. The warships, once poised for annihilation, froze mid-flight, their weapons silenced. Ren's voice rang clear across the stars. "The war ends now. I will disarm you, not destroy you." For the first time in history, a human had called for peace, and the universe had no choice but to listen. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. Ren stood alone, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Kessa was gone, but her sacrifice had bought them a future. The God Killer, now under his control, would never be used for destruction again. "We earned this," he whispered to the stars, "in blood, in silence, in exile, but we are here." Humanity had risen, not as conquerors, but as survivors, as creators, as beings capable of both destruction and mercy. And in that moment, the universe knew. Humanity was no longer a side story. They were the new origin of everything. The dead star looms in the distance, its blackened core a silent testament to the battles fought. Ren stands at the helm of a lone vessel, watching the God Killer drift slowly into orbit around the lifeless husk. The weapon, humanity's last hope, the key to their survival, sleeps once more. Its towering form, a hybrid of man and machine, is concealed from the cosmos, its power contained, but never truly forgotten. The silence of space presses in, suffocating, oppressive. Ren's breath fogs the glass before him. His hands, now scarred from countless battles, grip the controls tightly. Kessa is gone, and with her the hope of ever truly knowing peace. Yet the galaxy spins onward, unaware that its future still hinges on the one man who holds the key to their survival, or their doom. He releases a shaky breath and mutters to himself, "Not broken, just waiting." A faint hum fills the cabin as the God Killer is locked into its orbit, its slumber eternal, or so it seems. Ren's eyes linger on the cold emptiness. Even without its power, the weapon remains a symbol, a reminder of humanity's unyielding will to fight. Delegations arrive. First, the fleet of the Ascended Circle, draped in gold and silver armor, bearing olive branches, their leaders adorned in ceremonial robes. The threat they once posed still lingers in the air like a thick fog, but there is an odd civility to their arrival. They are here to talk, to negotiate, but is truly peace they seek? Among them, the Kara Dominion arrives, their ships dark and silent, bearing hidden blades cloaked beneath their politeness. Their eyes sharp and calculating scan the room with the cold precision of predators who never forget the taste of blood. Ren meets them in a grand hall, a space that was once the symbol of Earth's submission. Now it is the stage of diplomacy, where former enemies are now guests, their motivations veiled in ambiguity. The air is thick with suspicion, the tension palpable, as the representatives of the galaxy's fractured factions come together to reshape the stars. "I don't trust them," Kessa's voice echoes in his mind, though her body is long gone. "They never come without a price." Ren clenches his fists. "Then we'll make them pay if they try." He knows the weight of the situation. The universe is in shambles, and humanity stands as a rising force, feared, respected, and perhaps unknowable. The balance of power is shifting, but who will claim it?
Humanity has risen from the ashes of exile, and now the galaxy trembles at the sight of them. Once forgotten, once scorned, they are now impossible to ignore.
The survivors of Earth, once scattered and weak, are reclaiming their place in the cosmos, not as pawns, but as players in the grand game of interstellar politics. Ren watches from the balcony as a fleet of human ships, sleek and powerful, glides through the galaxy. They are no longer the underdogs. Earth's legacy, born from struggle, born from defiance, has ignited a fire that cannot be quenched. The Ascended Circle, the Dominion, and every other empire feels the tremor of humanity's ascent. The stars are no longer a distant playground for the elite. They are humanity's domain now. We are the future, Ren says, eyes burning with fierce conviction. And we will carve our path no matter who stands in our way. The silence of space is heavy as Ren returns to Earth, or what remains of it. The fragments of a world shattered by war are strewn across the void, memories of a home that once was. His vessel hovers over the ruins, the once blue and green world, now just a lifeless chunk of rock. He descends to a lone patch of earth, a small forgotten place amidst the destruction, where the ashes of Kessa's final resting place still linger. He kneels, placing a simple marker on the ground, an emblem of the rebellion. The weight of grief bears down on him, and for a moment, Ren allows himself to mourn. Rest, Kessa. We made it. You made it possible. Her memory will never fade, not for him, not for humanity. She was the spark, the one who believed when all seemed lost. But her sacrifice weighs on him now. How can one ever truly move on from the ones they've lost? As the stars glimmer above, he lingers, knowing that Earth will never be the same. But there is still hope, faint, but growing. The galaxy whispers of Ren. They call him divine, an immortal being of both flesh and machine. They see the God Killer, the legend, and mistake it for his power. But Ren knows better. The weapon is not him. It is not the God Killer that made him who he is. It is the human will, the unbreakable resolve to survive, to fight, and to preserve what is left of humanity. When the galaxy reveres him as a god, Ren rejects the label. "I'm just human," he says, standing on the balcony, overlooking a fractured universe. And that's enough. It is the core of what makes humanity so powerful, the understanding that even in the face of impossible odds, they will rise. Not as gods, not as monsters, but as people. People who are capable of more than any alien empire ever dreamed. The God Killer floats in deep space, a silent sentinel in the dark. It watches, waiting, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of humanity's triumphs, its scars, and its future. The galaxy is still fractured, its fate uncertain, but peace holds, for now. The cosmic storm that once threatened to consume all has calmed, but the universe is a vast and unpredictable place. Ren stands in the quiet of space, staring into the infinite. His mind drifts to the future, to the generations yet to come. The God Killer is there, but it is no longer the harbinger of destruction. It is a symbol, one that will be passed down through the ages, a piece of humanity's legacy, its will to survive. A new age is beginning. Whether it will bring peace or war remains to be seen. But Ren knows one thing: humanity is ready. The stars shimmer, distant and cold, but now they feel just a little bit warmer. And Ren, no longer a weapon but a man, watches them from the darkness, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.
A small alien child, no more than 6 or 7 cycles old, stands at the edge of a cliff, her wide eyes fixed on the vast expanse of stars above. The cold winds of her home planet whip around her, but she doesn't flinch. The sky is endless, an ocean of swirling constellations and nebulae, punctuated by the faintest glimmer of ancient lights. Her species has long lived beneath the shadow of myths and legends, stories passed down through generations. Her voice, soft and uncertain, breaks the silence. Is it true? A human commands the God Killer? The question lingers in the air, hanging like a fragile thread. The child's innocence is at odds with the weight of the story. The God Killer, humanity's weapon, a force of destruction that reshaped the galaxy. To this young one, it is more than just a story. It is a legacy, a fable carried on by the elders, whispered around firelight and in hushed towns. The stars twinkle down, and for a moment, the galaxy feels still. A shadow shifts beside the child, an elder, stooped with age but wise in the ways of the universe, steps forward. His eyes, tired but sharp, turn to the child, and for a moment, the weight of the centuries seems to press upon him. "Yes," the elder answers, his voice deep and slow. "It is true. A human once commanded the God Killer." The child's eyes widen, her curiosity growing. But, the elder continues, it listens not because he is the strongest, not because he is the most powerful. It listens because he chose not to use it. He chose peace over destruction. The words resonate in the air like a soft echo. True strength, the elder knows, is not in domination or violence. It is in restraint, in the ability to wield power and yet remain still. The legend of the God Killer, a weapon of unimaginable destruction, is not a tale of conquest. It is one of sacrifice, of understanding the immense weight of power and choosing to carry it with the utmost care. Strength, the elder murmurs, is not measured by how much you can take, but by how much you are willing to give up. The child stares at him, her young mind struggling to grasp the depth of those words. She looks back to the sky, her imagination now teeming with possibilities. Above them, in the cold, silent void of space, a massive ship hovers just beyond the edge of their atmosphere. It is an imposing presence, a relic of the past, its sleek form bathed in the dim light of distant stars. The God Killer is no longer a weapon of war, but it remains, silent, watching, waiting for a time that is yet to come. The ship drifts slowly through the void, its purpose uncertain, its future still unknown. It is the legacy of humanity, its final chapter left unfinished. The galaxy has changed, and yet, in the shadow of the God Killer, there is a lingering unease. The peace that humanity fought for is fragile, tenuous, held together by threads of hope and restraint. The stars above are distant, cold, but the ship remains, a sentinel in the darkness. It watches not with malice, but with quiet patience, a reminder that power, no matter how long it lies dormant, is never truly gone. The future is uncertain, and the God Killer waits, just as humanity waits, biding its time. For now, there is peace, but the galaxy knows that the God Killer is still out there, its potential unspent, and though the weapon slumbers, the legend of humanity, its strength, its wisdom, and its sacrifice lives on, whispered across the stars.